Welcome back, Leominsterites, for the November episode of Representing Leominster. And I'm your state representative, Natalie Higgins, and we're filming this on Friday, November 9th, 3 days after the general election. And I just want to thank everyone who supported me. I am excited for another 2 years as your representative, and excited to be talking about some important days coming up in our community, Veterans Day and Thanksgiving. And to talk about hunger in our communities as we start to think about Thanksgiving later on this month, I'm so thrilled to be joined with Jean McMurray, the Executive Director of the Worcester County Food Bank.
Well, thank you so much, and congratulations on your reelection.
Yeah, thank you. And so can you explain kind of what services and what the catchment area is of Worcester County Food Bank?
Sure. So the Worcester County Food Bank serves as a centralized hub for all of Worcester County in collecting and distributing donations of fresh, frozen, and non-perishable food. And it goes out to a network of 118 food pantries, community meal programs, and shelters. So right here in Leominster, we partner with some wonderful organizations. Spanish American Center, Catholic Charities are just a few of the agencies that we partner with.
Yeah, and I've gotten to know your work through Ginny's, through the Spanish American Center, and I'm so thankful for all of the support that you provide these organizations. And I think so many of us don't realize just how pervasive hunger is in our community and how many folks in Leominster are facing hunger.
Right. When you think about it, the food bank is distributing enough food every week for 104,000 meals. And 118 agencies that in 1 year serve a total of 81,000 people. 33% of children.
Right.
And that's just counting everyone once. If you add up all the times that those individuals go, it's well over 300,000 people helped in a year.
Yeah, and so I was challenged to do the SNAP challenge and to live on SNAP benefits for a week. And I realized just like the SNAP program is supplemental, and oftentimes it doesn't provide enough nutrition or whole nutrition for folks, and that's where the food pantries come in with the emergency food assistance. And just I couldn't get fruits and veggies with my budget.
Right, and I'm glad that you brought that up, because several of our board members and staff members took the challenge around the same time, and it only took a day to realize the struggle that a person goes through on trying to eat healthy. And people do want to eat healthy. They know what's good for them, but it's out of reach economically. And so people do need to go to a food pantry, or maybe two, as well as their SNAP, and maybe other strategies to all bring it together so that you have food for yourself and your family every day of the month.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that that's so important. And what have you guys been doing around like reducing stigma? I think that that has been the biggest piece for us, especially when we are at our senior coffee hours. We have a lot of folks who maybe qualify for SNAP, but only for a small bit. And we've had some success with that new Healthy Incentives program of saying like, okay, even if you just qualify for the minimum, you have this opportunity to go shop at a farmer's market that may seem expensive for a lot of folks.
Right, and especially for the seniors, the message is that it may not be a lot financially, but when you receive SNAP, that entitles you to other programs like fuel assistance or reduced cost for your cell phone. And so if you add up all those things together, it really does, become very measurable savings. So we encourage everybody, regardless of the amount. But you're right, the stigma, it's constant. We have to always be out there letting people know. These are your neighbors. They're people that live next door, around the corner, or across town. They are the adults we pass on the street, or kids that sit next to our kids or grandkids in school. It's not this anonymous person. These are local people. We know them. You may not know that they're struggling, but you would be surprised that the people you know who are struggling are your neighbors.
Yeah, and there's more and more research to show that families in the United States and in Massachusetts just don't have savings to fall back on if there is a medical emergency or a job loss. Like, things can spiral really quickly, and I'm so glad that your organization exists to kind of help them, at least make sure that they can then put healthy food on the table.
Yes, we're glad that we are here and doing a great service to the community every day, but it is bittersweet. It is sad that we have the level of hunger that we do here in Worcester County, in Massachusetts, and in our country, because it shouldn't exist to the level that it does, especially among people who worked hard all their lives and now live on a fixed income, the senior citizens, or even someone who's newly arrived from a country fleeing persecution persecution, it's very traumatic. But we're here, we do what we can, and we do believe we're making a difference. But we couldn't do it without all the wonderful partners and all the volunteers and the donors who make this possible. It's really a community effort.
And speaking of how folks can get involved, what are like the different roles and how can folks get in touch with you to get involved if they want to work with the Worcester County Food Bank?
So we encourage people to go to our website, which is foodbank.org, and there you can find a listing of all of our partner agencies. Whether you want to come to Shrewsbury and help us out, that's wonderful. But you may not have to go any further than your own community of Leominster. We also post volunteer opportunities at our local partner agencies. So check that out as well. But we'll tell you what the need is, how you can get involved, whether you want to conduct a food drive, whether you want to become a financial donor. But regardless, we encourage people to come for a tour. Or tour your local food pantry, because they are the local experts. And there you can find out what is going on, where can I fit in, what can I contribute, and you'll be amazed at what you can learn. And also advocacy. We do a lot of advocacy in addition to our food distribution. Everybody's voice needs to be heard. Everyone needs to speak out about ending hunger.
Yeah, and if with the new legislative session kind of on the horizon, are there any policy changes that you're hoping that we can
Sure. Well, a couple that we worked really hard on, and thanks to your leadership, we didn't make as much progress as we hoped, but breakfast as part of the school day. It was called Breakfast After the Bell legislation. We'd really like to see that get passed. And then also the SNAP gap, that one common application for Mass Health and SNAP food stamps. We'd really love to see something happen there so that about 600,000 people getting SNAP who get Medicare can also get SNAP with one application.
Yeah, so for folks who don't understand what is going on with that, is you might qualify for SNAP benefits and not even know. And so if we could have one common application between Mass Health and the SNAP program, then when you sign up for Mass Health, you're automatically getting that food benefits. And that allows you to use your income to other needs that often probably aren't getting met. So those are really important. And the Breakfast After the Bell program, I am just such a huge fan of. And I think Taylor and I were really surprised with just how calm the day was. It really seemed to change the culture of the school. It wasn't so hectic. Kids got in, ate their breakfast, got to read or get quiet time. And I think even for the teachers that maybe were hesitant about, is that going to create more work for them in the beginning of the day, it actually gave them some more downtime to get ready for the day to start.
We understand the fear of the unknown, but once you see it in action, it's really amazing, and it really just sets the tone for the rest of the day. No one's feeling unwell because they have an empty stomach. People are positive. Their mood is good, and it really does set a good tone for the rest of the school day. Yeah,
and Rep. Aaron Vega from Holyoke, who's the lead sponsor, jokes that this is like one of the most funded mandates that could exist because so many school districts, the Worcester Public Schools, have been able to hire new staff because of it. Leominster Public Schools have been able to qualify for grants to purchase soccer nets and other things. Like there are other ways that you can kind of support the school community by incentivizing, making sure all of your kids have the food that they need.
And the Worcester County Food Bank stands ready to help any school district. We have a wonderful child nutrition coordinator, Callie Coughlin. She'd love to come out and meet and help you in any way.
Yeah, no, Callie's awesome, and I got to tour Francis Drake with her.
Good.
So is there anything else as we're wrapping up that you want to make folks aware of as we're thinking towards Thanksgiving? And
the food bank wants to make sure that people have good food every day, and that includes Thanksgiving. The nice thing about Thanksgiving is that it gives everyone a chance to participate in a real holiday that everybody can come around and share with their family and friends. And so I just want to say thank you to everybody in Leominster who really does support their local food pantry or the Worcester County Food Bank. We couldn't do it without you.
Yeah, and I know we do have a community Thanksgiving coming up, so if anyone is interested, I will have it up on my website and up on my social media. So if you want to join us, it's a coordination between Ginny's and the Spanish American Center and the Unitarian Universalist Church. And so we would love to join you with that. So Jean, thank you so much for coming on and talking about the Worcester County Food Bank. I really appreciate you coming out and joining us here in Leominster. And thank you for everything you do.
Well, thank you for everything that you do. We really appreciate it, and your leadership is incredible.
And after the break, we will come back and meet with the Veteran Center Director, Rick Votor. Welcome back, and I'm thrilled to be joined with the Veteran Services Coordinator for Leominster and at least one other community now, Rick Votor.
Lancaster and Sterling.
Two communities now, Rick Votor, a proud Leominsterite and almost my neighbor. And I'm just really excited to have you on in anticipation of Veterans Day to talk about how folks can come and check out the parade, and also just for veterans and veterans families, what services they might be able to access through the Veterans Center that they might not be aware of.
Sure. Okay, so we'll start with our Veterans Day activities. So the very first thing we're doing is at 10:30 on Sunday, Veterans Day, because we celebrate Veterans Day on the actual day. So it's always Veterans Day, so the 11th. So we're doing a small ceremony at the Common, laying a wreath at the World War I Memorial, because Veterans Day has its roots in Armistice Day, the end of World War I, which is the 100th year anniversary this year. So this year, so they're coordinating a bell ringing by all the different churches and nationwide. Anybody that has a bell, they're going to participate in the bell ringing. So we're going to do after that, we go inside City Hall. And we recognize our Veteran of the Year, which is Frank Ardinger, one of our local city councilors. Yeah. And then we do a Teacher of the Year for the VFW, and that teacher is Elizabeth Wilson. She's at Johnny Appleseed School. She's embarked on a pen pal program to send letters to the troops. Pretty cool. And then we do our peacetime medal. So we're handing out a peacetime medal. So anybody that served during a peacetime period is going to get that medal on Veterans Day. So that's Veterans Day. And then Wednesday, 8:30 to 11, we're having a breakfast sponsored at the Veterans Center by the Life Care Center of America up the street. And that's for anybody, veterans, families of veterans, first responders, fire, police. They want to feed the whole community, veterans, police, fire community. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah,
so
it's always a great breakfast.
Yeah, and they do a really nice job. Life Care Center does a really nice job. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the big stuff. I'm probably forgetting other stuff.
And so on Monday, Veterans Day, there is the...
We're just off.
You're just off.
Yep.
Yep, okay.
Yeah, so all the stuff is celebrated on Sunday. And then Monday we rest.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah.
And give all of our veterans time to be with their family. And,
That's right, exactly.
And pay them tribute.
Right.
Yeah.
Indeed.
So, and you have been an amazing partner, you and Jolene, in terms of all of the constituents that come to us with issues with veteran services and the VA. And so could you kind of give a synopsis of like the common issues that you've been able to help folks with?
Okay, so...
I know it's a long laundry list.
How much time do we have? So we do a lot of great things at the Veterans Office. We're required by the state of Massachusetts to have a veteran service officer in every city or town in Massachusetts. So, and Leominster does Leominster, Lancaster, and Sterling. So we do both federal and state benefits. So if somebody is they're having a hard time paying between food and medicine, and they're an honorably discharged veteran, then we can help them with that program through the state Chapter 115 program. So we can help them, as long as they don't have any money in the bank, we can take care of that. So we do a lot of that. We file a lot of disability claims for veterans. And in this area, we have a lot of assisted living facilities. So we process a lot of those benefits. So that gives a veteran another $1,800 a month, or a widow of a veteran, $1,176 a month to live, taking less money out of their savings account kind of thing.
Sure.
So if they need help with home care and things like that. So we do a lot of that. We help people find their DD-214s. We sign them up for VA health care. We do it all.
Yeah, you do so much. And I think the other piece is the Veteran Center becomes such an important community space with all of the different
we
groups.
do. So the Veteran Center, they have 5 active veterans organizations at the Veteran Center. They have the VFW, American Legion, DAV, AMVETS, and the Vietnam Veterans of America. And then they have the Blue Star Mothers group, which is the first Blue Star Mothers group in Massachusetts. And they're mothers of servicemen that are actively serving. so they meet there. We
I didn't realize that they were the first in Massachusetts.
They were the first in Massachusetts, yeah. Blue Star Mothers Group in Massachusetts. They're Mass Chapter 1. I think there's 3 chapters now throughout Massachusetts, and they do some great things. They work very closely with the Fisher House in Boston, and the Fisher House is a place where if you're having treatment at one of the VA hospitals, the family members can stay at the Fisher House for no cost. And if you ever tried to get a place in Boston, you know what that's like, right? So, so that's a very awesome, facility, the Fisher House in Boston. So our Blue Star Mothers does a lot of things with them, and they're just a great resource. So if you have a child that's deployed or in the service, even if they're stateside, you should be part of that Blue Star Mothers group, because if nothing else, you're, kind of commiserating with other mothers.
Yeah.
I've been trying to get my wife to join, because I have 2 sons that are in the service, but not yet.
Okay. Well, and I think that that's the important part of community and having done a lot of counseling work, like just getting family members and loved ones to participate and understand that they're going through their own loss when their loved ones overseas or deployed, and that it's okay to connect with other folks who understand what that's going.
Right, because then you have some shared experiences, which makes it better for everybody.
Yeah, because that I can't imagine what it's like to be worrying about your loved one. My grandparents, my 2 grandfathers were both in the Army and the Navy, but way before I was born. So I didn't. I just grew up hearing stories about it.
Yeah, my son's an Air Force pilot, and he was telling me, you think he's kind of safe. He's peacetime.
Yeah.
So he was telling us a story about he was supposed to fly on a plane, and they switched pilots because the other guy had another place he wanted to be, so he took my son's plane, and the plane crashed, and they jumped out of the plane, and everybody landed safely, and the plane crashed. But it's like, that could have been my son crashing his plane. So, so even in peacetime, you just never know. It's just, that's the nature of the beast. It's, it's a dangerous occupation, the military. It's a great occupation, but it's dangerous.
And I love Leominster. I think Leominster has some of the strongest support for our veterans. I just like all of the activities that I get to attend just have so many community members showing up.
Yeah, Leominster is a great community. It embraces our veterans, and they have since, the Revolutionary War when they marched off to Concord. We had an event last night at the auditorium in Leominster, Leominster.
Yeah, at the Leominster High School.
High school auditorium, and we filled it. Every seat was full, and they had all of the music kids performing with the International Veterans Chorus, and it was fabulous.
And I just saw the International Veterans Chorus over the weekend at the library.
That's right. They did a nice job at the library,
a bench to the library, and my God, every time I see the International Veterans Chorus, like chills. Tears, like they just had a great set of an hour of music.
And they're always looking for people. So if you're a veteran and you like to sing, International Veterans Chorus is a place for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, it's so lovely. It's one of my favorite things. And they sing so much better than me. I just hum along out of tune in my seat.
And you notice I'm not a member because I don't sing. I have a hard time with the radio.
So is there anything else while I have you on of ways that folks can connect with the Veterans Center if someone wanted to volunteer, or if someone wanted to get involved? What are the best ways?
So the best thing to do is to call the office, and then we have different events. We always need people to help us flag the cemeteries during Memorial Day, and then roll the flags. And if you haven't done it,
Chad, please participate in that. I did it with my little cousin, and it was the first time she had ever done it, and she just had a great time. And it was really good to spend some time with her talking about, like, why are we doing this, and what does this mean? And
my poor kids were doing it since before they could walk, and so that's what they grew up doing that. They didn't know anything else. So you can call the office, the Veterans Office, and we always have different things. We're going to be delivering some Thanksgiving baskets for Thanksgiving. We'll be doing that. So you always just call the office. That's the best way.
Perfect.
And you recently filed a bill, one of the few bills that I like, trying to get so that condo associations can fly their flags.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
So for folks who don't know, in the federal law, there are protections for residents and condo associations to be able to fly the American flag, different military flags, without consequences, because condo associations have their own rules and there's reasons those are in place, but we should be able to display our patriotism and support our country and support our military members.
And they own it.
And right, and at the minimum on their front door.
Right.
Which is their own space. So we had an incident where that was becoming an issue for a local resident, and she brought it to my attention, and we just wanted to. Sometimes we got to just put it in the state law to say, even though we know that the federal protection exists, we got to affirm it in the state law, and that didn't make it all the way through, but we're going to continue to make sure that that is very clear that those protections exist. And it was one that I was happy to file when it was brought to my attention.
That's
so
awesome.
if anyone has ideas of legislation, I'm always happy to find ways for me and Rick to work together a little bit more. And I think that Massachusetts should be proud that we provide some of the best benefits for our veterans and our military members. And when I was doing my work with Phenom, that's how I found out that there were certain universities that were really strong in terms of supporting veteran students, like Salem State, UMass Lowell, have really, really robust programming.
The Mount.
And even locally, and just that is also a need. How do we make sure that our veterans can come back and finish their degrees and go on to even more better earning jobs as they come back into civilian life?
We want them to assimilate into society. We want them to be, so the goal in the military is to make them better citizens when they come back. So that's the idea. You know, they have this great GI Bill and a great veterans, health package, for the rest of their life kind of thing. So that's the idea, to make it so it's more of a seamless transition into society. Many of our business owners today are veterans, from when they get out back when, and they went on to school and created their own businesses. So that's awesome. That's what we want.
Right. Well, Rick, thank you so much for taking the time to come on the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Of course. And so we've got you covered for all of your Veterans Day activities, thinking about Thanksgiving. And one of my favorite holidays is coming up, Christmas. And so we're doing our second annual toy raiser at the Veterans Center with a couple of friends of mine, Santa Claus and Mrs. Claus. So if you know any kiddos who are looking forward to taking some photos with Santa Claus and Mrs. Claus, please come down to the Veterans Center the Sunday after Thanksgiving from 12 to 2 and bring an unwrapped toy, and you will get a photo, a printed photo with Santa Claus and Mrs. Claus. We would love to have you. And I will see you all next month. Thanks so much.